Hello and welcome to the 11th lecture. This is on professionalism in higher study. Professionalism is a term, an attribute that you have to use not in higher study, but in all aspects of your career. So this video is dedicated on that parameter. The most common ground of practicing professionalism is when you are communicating with someone. So when it comes to a formal communication, you should always use the last name and with appropriate salutation. And you should never assume a person's designation, and you should never be overly friendly and send an email with an informal tone. And you should be patient when you are emailing a professor or communicating with an academic person. And you should give reasonable interval before asking for a follow-up. And you should always give reasonable space when you are talking to someone in person. And when it comes to a handshake, you should always wait before that person actually makes the approach. And several common courtesies you should always practice, like holding the door for someone that's walking behind you. And you should always say thank you and sorry when it's appropriate. So these are the very basic attributes of professional communication. A lot of the time we become overly friendly and ask a lot of personal things about a person, which is a violation of professionalism. And therefore, you should know that you should never ask a person about their personal details before being a friend or being in an informal relationship. When it comes to a formal communication, you should never ask someone about their age, marital status, family income, CGPA, relationship, district, or background, or something like that. And there are several points that will hurt you professionally if you practice mismanagement of time. If you think that you can manage all the deadlines at the 11th hour, then you are actually having oversmart syndrome, meaning that you are thinking you are smart and you can manage everything, but you will not be able to do that. Another thing is that we generally tend to follow a template or a prepared format or routine or way of doing things without doing appropriate level of customization for ourselves. That is very, very harmful for your professional development, and you should always make a customized plan when it comes to setting career goals. And these days we maintain too many social networks. We spend a lot of time in social networks. We're bombarded with information, and we end up having too many acquaintances who are not our real friends. That will also hurt you professionally if you don't know how to maintain them effectively. And when it comes to producing good results, institutionally speaking, we should always understand that one institution is always run with several tactics, and you should understand institutional tactics, especially when it comes to how to do well in exams, how to get ahead in your career. And you should customize your approach according to the institutional nuances. And as I have mentioned, that we are bombarded with so many pieces of informations, and if you want to process everything just for the sake of being updated, you will actually miss a lot of important things, and that will also hurt you professionally. Therefore, you should always filter the informations and keep and process only the ones that are helpful and relevant for you. These are some points that you should always avoid in workplace, and when it comes to career, you should avoid gossip. If your network consists of too many people who love to gossip, then you will be in trouble sooner or later, because if someone is gossiping about someone else with you, then surely he or she is gossiping about you with other people. And you should always avoid crossing level of communication, meaning you should never be informal with someone before knowing your place. And managing time, not being late, is a very important virtue that is generally underrated, but always being on time will earn you respect in your workplace. And you should always remember that your job is not you, rather your job is a part of your life. And mismanagement of position and responsibilities mean that you do not know how to effectively use your position to get ahead, and you don't know how to manage your responsibilities, meaning that you should segment your tasks and responsibilities into manageable fragments, and you should manage your position. You should know your place. You should not overestimate or underestimate yourself. Knowing your real value in workplace in terms of your achievements and accomplishments comes with practice and being very thoughtful. And you should never mix up workplace and home. That's kind of a given, because if you bring the bitterness of home to your workplace, and if you bring the bitterness of your workplace to your home, then you will be unhappy and under stress in both places, and eventually you will mess up in both places. And you should remember that your price is determined by not is not determined by how many hours you have invested, rather it's determined by your output. And also you should remember that when you're actively thinking about being professional, you will sometimes find yourself very lonely, and sometimes you will be fighting a one-person battle, and that's fine, because that's how we become mature and a real professional person. So that's what I had to share in this very brief lecture about professionalism. I hope that these points will be helpful for you. Thanks.